Good day, students. Today I want to talk about the recently announced 2.2 units, what mechanics they could have in order for them to find their place in the meta, and my overall thoughts on their design. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Well, Sparkle didn't even have the chance to own the spotlight for half a patch, and the devs have already announced a new Harmony unit in Sunday's Dead or Not Sister Robin. Therefore, let us discuss what she could bring to earn her place at the table with the already tough competition she has to go through. Considering we just had Sparkle introduced as the second crit damage buffer with an action advance, I doubt they will use this gimmick again. I also do not see them giving her a mechanic related to the increase of skill points, as again, it would overlap with Sparkle's identity. The same can be said of Ruin May's weakness break efficiency. So what is left? Well, since we had a more single target-focused support, I think she will be a team-wide buffer. What buffs could she do? Well, let's brainstorm a bit what hasn't been used yet. While providing action advance for one unit has been covered by 2 units so far, the action advance gimmick for the entire team is up for grabs, and this one will be a game changer, especially if the value is good. A crit rate buffer for the entire team would also be amazing, as this would mean you could pair her with either Bronya or Sparkle, and your hyper carry will have the time of his life. A team-wide speed buffer can also be in play, as Asta is 4-star unit, and Ruin May's speed buff is on the lower side. Speaking of speed buffing potential, even an absurd amount of speed given to a single unit would be interesting if it is done via the skill, as this could essentially invalidate the need to build speed boots for your carry. Also, what hasn't been done is a non-conditional attack team buffer, as Bronya can only do it during her ultimate and Sparkle's value is tied to the amount of quantum units present in the team. A non-conditional team-wide attack buff above 40% will certainly make her a great asset for DOT teams. Another buff which has not been handled properly yet is a boost in break effect for your teammates, as not only do we have a couple of units recently introduced which are relying on this stat, all other damage dealers in the game would also not look away at the additional damage they could get when they deplete the shields on the enemies. I know at least one such unit which might run with this buff and solo the simulated universe by herself. And the two of them could really bring some mayhem since Ruin May boosts the weakness break efficiency, which translates to faster shield breaks. If Robin also boosts the break effect of your team by a good amount, you are potentially looking at basic attacks from your Harmony units going over 100,000 damage. But one can only dream of such an amazing combination. Apart from the traditional damage amplification buffs, it would be interesting if more utility buffs could also be on the table, like increasing the effect resistance for your party or the effect hit rate for that matter. But what I truly want to see from a Harmony unit, and hopefully Robin is the one to make this happen, is an energy mechanic related to her skill. Something along the lines of, when you use your skill on a target ally, restore a set amount of energy to it. Or more interestingly, apply a mark to the target enemy with every ally that attacks the respective target receiving a set amount of energy. Similar to Hanya's skill point generation from Burden, only this time with energy gain. And the last mechanic I can think of which could be in play is if she could buff herself initially and afterwards link to a specific ally and share the buffs present on her, or a portion of them with the respective target. This could also be done in a manner in which, while she is linked, she cannot take actions for the duration of the link, so it could be balanced in such a manner that you get a plethora of buffs on your carry, but you lose in skill points gained during its duration. I feel like this would be a very interesting one, as it would require careful planning on when to get into the link state and when not to, as if you make the wrong choice, you could ruin the run and have to reset the fight. We should also take a look at her element, Physical, as the physical element is quite common in most lower HP mobs from MOC and Pure Fiction. If she will be a more offensive type of support focused on breaking, this could be an interesting play as well, although I do not see them making the Singing Star an offensive-focused support. Even so, as a physical support, you can bring her with the Penacony set to boost your Argenti, And what a fabulous duo this would be, honestly. I can't tell which of them would shine brighter, as both are a walking advert for a shampoo commercial. In conclusion, even though it appears with the recent addition of Harmony units that the mechanics available for future Harmony units to shine have shrunk, in reality there are plenty more options not implemented as well as variants of the existing ones that could shine just as bright. Let me also talk a bit about the recent reveal to the game, Boothill, which from his announcement post will be a physical hunt unit. Why I say this is interesting is because so far, hunt units have been focused on single target damage, and they naturally have the highest speed out of all the other units. The physical element is interesting, and could have some implications related to his personal damage, as the physical break is the hardest hitting break in the game. Therefore, if he is a unit focused on breaking the element shields, we can possibly get a harder hitting unit on a single target than Dr. Ratio currently is. I would also like to see more AoE mechanics from him, as the hunt units are generally lacking in this department. Even if he gets an extra turn or action advance after a certain action mechanic, this could keep his identity as a single target-focused DPS, but also allow him to deal with the end-game content where you have to clear multiple units in order to get the rewards. But I do believe he will be the first hunt unit focused on stacking break effect, as we just had the introduction of Gallagher in the game, and we also had the introduction of the new relic set, which buffs the break effect of allies. And this could open a new team archetype, one focused on quickly breaking the shields of the enemy in order to capitalize on the damage done when the shields are broken, a game mechanic that has been pretty overlooked since the start of the game. Of course, he can be a traditional crit-based DPS as well, like all the hunt units released so far have, or a combination of both, where he will do some part of his damage based on his traditional crit stats, while also boosting the damage of his break damage from his major traces, so you can choose how you want to play him. On more consistent damage via the traditional crit route, or focused on one big nuke going after the break effect route. One final option I can see happening is that the physical break will inflict a bleed dot on the enemy, making him the first hunt unit focused on dot damage. As a dot enthusiast, this possibility makes me very excited, as a fast sub-DPS physical dot unit will be a great addition to the already dot teams, especially Kafka, as she will be able to detonate the bleed on the target as well as her own dot for some potential insane nukes. That's about all I can think the new 2.2 will bring to the table. Let me know in the comments what mechanics you think Robin and Boothill will introduce to the game. Are you planning on going for them? Or do you already have your eyes set on the recent 2.1 units? Until next time, I am Professor Veritas Ratio, and remember, stay smart and sexy.